LinkedIn is the B2B social media platform. That's literally what it's designed for. So if you're not using LinkedIn to get more B2B leads, I'm going to show you 4 different ways that you can very, very easily use it without too much effort at all. And look, we'll start with the first one straight away, which is outreach. So you absolutely can 100% do outreach on LinkedIn, okay? Now, first of all, the main thing that we hear about people who don't want to do outreach on LinkedIn, they're like, oh, but it's icky, I don't want to annoy people, okay? You really need to understand that there's a limiting belief there, okay? So let's say that there's 2 different people, okay? And person number 1, they will do outreach on LinkedIn. Person number 2 won't do outreach on LinkedIn because of those reasons I just mentioned. Who do you think is actually going to get new leads in their pipeline? Like, that's a very high level overview of what I'm trying to say here, but realistically that's what's going to happen. If somebody responds back to you and says not interested, it's not the end of the world, okay? If you put together the right kind of messaging, no one's going to respond with anything hateful, anything ridiculous, anything whatever, okay? Like, we do outreach every single day of the week. For example, I got a response yesterday to outreach from somebody saying that they weren't interested. Big deal, no problem. We just move on to the next person, okay? So absolutely 100% you can do outreach on LinkedIn. Now, before I move on to the next ones, I just want to talk about some of the tips for outreach on LinkedIn. Obviously, you need to make sure that you're only reaching out to people who would be relevant, okay? So that's going to be a smaller group of people. So essentially what you want to do is there's a few different steps that go into the outreach side of things, okay? Because I'm actually not 100% sure about this, but I'm pretty sure you can't actually send somebody a message on LinkedIn unless you're connected with them. I could be wrong about that. If I am, correct me in the comments. But what you want to do is, first of all, connect with that particular person. And once they are connected with you, you can send them a message, again, to my understanding. But again, only be connecting and messaging somebody if they are actually relevant in somebody that you can actually help, okay? Now, yes, this may take a bit of time to put together your lead list, but once that's put together, essentially if you're using like an automation tool, there's a lot of different tools out there for that. We use Walaxy specifically. You can check out a link for that in the description below. But what we do in our Walaxy campaigns is we have it set that we first of all visit that particular person's profile. Actually, I'll write it up here. So we first of all visit that person's profile. And the reason that we do that is just so they have an understanding about who we are, first of all, okay? So the reason, again, that we visit it because a lot of people on LinkedIn, they'll get a notification saying, Paul Carey viewed your LinkedIn profile, okay? That person goes, who's Paul Carey? And they click on my profile, then they understand who I'm about. Because again, we have my profile optimized, okay? So people know straight away who we are, how we can help them, all that sort of stuff, okay? Then what we do is we wait a day and then we follow that particular person, okay? Now, everybody likes to get new followers on social media. And in this case, yes, LinkedIn is social media, okay? Now, my personal opinion is that the followers don't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. Like, unless you have an absolutely ridiculously huge audience. But the most people you're going to be reaching out to, they're not influencers. They're not people who are trying to increase their followers, okay? But all of a sudden they get new and they get this dopamine and go, ooh, I have a new follower. And then again, they go, who's the new follower? Oh, it's Paul. I remember Paul. He looked at my profile the other day, okay? And let's check him out again. So then after we follow them, we wait another day and we send them a connection request, okay? Now, this is important as well because we're not just nobody at this stage to that particular person. We are somebody who's going to be already a familiar face, okay? So they're more likely to accept the connection request, okay? Once they do accept the connection request, we send them message number 1. And the message number 1 essentially just says, hey, thanks for connecting, blah, blah, blah. Here's what we do. Here's how we can help you, okay? Now, again, it's just, I suppose you could say it's an obvious pitch, but again, it's not cold. It's not cold outreach because this person knows who we are, okay? They know what we do, so they're probably expecting as well at some point that we're going to pitch them, that we can help them as well, okay? Then we wait a couple of days, and if they haven't responded, we send them number 2. Then we wait, I think it's 3 days after that. We send them, not email, but message number 3. And then I think we wait 4 days, and we send them message number 4, and so on and so forth, okay? So that's essentially how we do our LinkedIn outreach, okay? So again, outreach doesn't have to be just sending one message, and it shouldn't be, okay? Because you're not going to get the best of replies doing that way. But for example, that's what we do, okay? Now again, feel free to steal that if you want. It's completely up to you. You're more than welcome to have that. But again, make sure that these are very relevant, and make sure, first of all, the people you're visiting are very relevant in regards to what you can do in helping them as well, okay? So that's the outreach side of things. So the next thing that you can do on LinkedIn is posting. Now, there's a bit of a debate at the moment whether you should be posting on a company page versus your own page for a personal brand, okay? Now again, having like a personal brand doesn't mean you have to be an influencer, for example. Like, again, I absolutely 100% would not consider myself an influencer, but you're watching a video from a YouTube channel called Paul Carey, B2B Scale. My name is in there. This is a personal brand, okay? But essentially you can also post on LinkedIn. When we previously ran an SEO agency, which we don't do anymore, we're no longer an agency, but we do help companies all the time. If you want to figure out how we do that, even by not being an agency, you can have a look at the first link in the description. But the point I was making there is that we used to post as the agency, and then I would share it, and our other team members would share it on their LinkedIn then, okay? So they were essentially sharing a post from the company. What we'll be doing going forward is the company actually won't be posting anything. It'll just be a personal brand thing. The reason for that is because, again, doing a lot of research on this over the past while, if you look at kind of any, I don't want to say look at any kind of bigger company, but personal brands tend to do better because, I've said that before, and as cheesy as it is, B2B doesn't exist, it's H to H, it's human to human, okay? A human will be looking at your personal post that you put up, okay? If they're looking at a company post, don't get me wrong, it can work, okay, 100%. There's companies that do very well with their branding, okay? If you look at the likes of Zero, for example, they do very well on the likes of LinkedIn. They have posts that are there, they have ads that they're running on LinkedIn, all that sort of stuff, okay? But from a personal trying to reach somebody perspective, very, very similar to the outreach side of things, again, if you connect with that person, and let's say they don't even respond to anything here, but because you're connected, they start seeing your posts, okay? If you were posting from the company, they're not going to see those posts, okay? Unless they follow the company as well, which is unlikely, or unless you share that post from the company as well, okay? Now, that's why the personal posting comes in a bit more, but that realistically can only work depending on where you are in the company. Otherwise, you would have to post on the company page and then share it, okay? So it really depends on where you are, kind of what your title is and your kind of hierarchy, I suppose you could say, within the company. And unless you're kind of, I don't like to use this term either, but a thought leader. Realistically, a personal post wouldn't really work. It makes more sense to do it from a company side of things, okay? But again, it doesn't matter what way you're doing the posting, whether it's from the company page and you're sharing it, or whether it's from your own page and it's a bit more personal. Regardless, people will see these, okay? Especially, like I said, if you're connected to them. And then again, the more connections that you make over time, the more people see this in your post, the more people like your post, the more people engage, they comment, all that sort of stuff. The more that feeds the LinkedIn algorithm, the more they push it out to more people. That's how this works as well, okay? So you can actually, and again, the posting side of things here, don't just be posting random nonsense like what you're having for lunch or whatever it might be. Make sure you're posting something that is actually valuable to people as well, okay? Now again, if you're going to be posting from the likes of the company page, don't just make it generic like, oh, we have this new product, we have this new offer, blah, 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 whatever it might be, okay? Because like people will just scroll past that. There needs to be something that's going to stop the scroll essentially, okay? So that's the posting side of things. The next one then is commenting, because even if you don't have a big following, even if it's somebody else who doesn't have a big following, but you can comment on other people's LinkedIn posts as well, okay? Now, be very wary not to be spamming other people's LinkedIn posts with just random comments that don't do any justice or don't do any value, okay? But what you can do is, when you do, like obviously you go onto your LinkedIn homepage and you see your feed and you see all the people that you're following or things that are being pushed out to you from the algorithm, whatever it is, okay? You can comment on that, and like, let's just, because again, most things that are going to be pushed out are going to be people who are talking about how they helped somebody do this, or how they did this particular thing, or something that they learned over the last while, or whatever it is, okay? All the typical LinkedIn sort of stuff, okay? You can simply comment that saying, oh, that's a cool perspective, never thought of that before, or interesting post, we'll have to try that, or great to see you got these results, whatever it is, okay? Something that's very relevant to that, okay? When you comment, not only does that person who posted it sees it, but other people will also see that comment as well, okay? Now, I would imagine, I don't have the numbers on this, but I would imagine less people would see you commenting than they would see you posting, obviously depending on whose post you're commenting on. But again, that is another way that you can essentially get the name out there, get your name out there on LinkedIn as well. So now, instead of doing outreach, now you have people who see you commenting and they are actually reaching out to you to connect, okay? Now, also what you can do in the likes of Walaxy, which I mentioned earlier, we use for our outreach automation. I believe in Walaxy, you can also set it up that automatically, if someone sends you a connection request, I could be wrong about this, but I think they have this feature, that if someone sends you a connection request, they go into a whole separate campaign because they actually reached out to you and connected with you instead. So you can essentially send back an automated message saying, hey, thanks for reaching out, blah, blah, happy to connect, whatever it is. Just start that conversation, just get it going as well, okay? And again, if that person replies, you can see what those replies are as well. You can actually even reply in Wellexy. I think they have something called inbox. I think that's what it's called. But yeah, this is not going to be an overnight success. Obviously, this takes time. Literally just put together whatever it is, 5 minutes. That's all you need to go on LinkedIn every day, just to scroll through the feed and go, oh, that's interesting, comment, okay? That's all you need to do. If you do that for, well, actually, you could probably do it in 60 seconds. But if you did that for 60 seconds every day, then after a week, that's 5 posts you comment on. Let's assume Monday to Friday, okay? If you do it after a month, that's 20. Let's assume 4 weeks in the month, okay? So again, this all happens over time, okay? But the more that you do these things, the better you get at them, the better results that you have as well, okay? And then the last one is going to be ads, okay? So yes, 100% you can run ads on LinkedIn. You can run ads to a very, very hyper-specific audience on LinkedIn, people who are already in the B2B world, okay? And again, if they're on LinkedIn, they're already in that B2B headspace, let's say. Again, if your ad is strong enough that it's going to make them actually stop and to look at your ad, because you have an offer that's very relevant to them, that you can fix a particular problem that they have, then of course that's going to be very helpful for you as well, okay? Now again, you can have these ads running continuously month after month. You can try different ads, you can do whatever you want. Also, if you want to check out what competition's doing or just companies that you like, LinkedIn do have I think it's called LinkedIn Ads Transparency. If that's not what it's called, even if you Google the term LinkedIn Ads Transparency, it will bring you to the right page that you're looking for. Essentially, you can put in any company name who's on LinkedIn and you can see all the ads they're running, okay? You can see the text that they have, you can see the media they're using, whether it's video, whether it's carousels of images, whether it's just a single image. I'm pretty sure you can see what their call to action is as well. I think you can see what the landing pages that they send people to. There's loads of different things that you can do from that as well, okay? And that's a free tool to use as well. Also, lots of other companies have that as well. I think Meta have it, Google have it as well, Bing have it. There's loads of companies that have this ads transparency thing, so you can actually essentially spy on your competition as well, okay? So look, there is 4 different ways that you can use LinkedIn in B2B as a B2B platform to get more people understanding who you are, what you do, how you can help them, and essentially how you can solve their particular problem, okay? So if you're not using any of these now, again, some of these are paid, some of them are free. If you don't have a budget, start with the free ones. If you do have a bit of a budget, maybe start with that one. If you have a bigger budget, go with this one. You could do all of them at the same time, okay? But again, these will only work for you if you do them, okay? So hopefully you got some value from that. If you do want a bit more advice on how you can optimize all this sort of stuff and even a bigger, deeper dive into all this sort of stuff, you can check out the first link in the description about how we can help different companies essentially scale using the likes of LinkedIn and a lot of other methods as well. So hopefully you got some value from that, and we'll see you in the next one.